Well, disasters don't wait. A government agency, READY, recognizes September as a National Preparedness Month. And as the nation continues to battle COVID-19, planning now will save you time in the future. And joining us now here on CI News 8 to talk through this is Drew Brown with the American Red Cross. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Well, let's jump in. Let's talk about weather and what kind of things Central Illinoisans should be prepared for as we talk about Preparedness Month.
Well, we've already experienced floods and strong windstorms, so those are some things that people should be preparing for, and it's something we don't want to think about, but the cold weather as the months go on, you need to be prepared and have those conversations.
Okay, absolutely. Let's talk about, you have a preparedness kit here for us.
Yes.
So let's kind of go through some of these items. What should we have in a preparedness kit?
Yes, so we have some of our items right here. We have our food, and then we have our water, and then we even have a water bag. And then one thing you want to have in place is some toiletries that you might need if you need to get up and leave. And then you mentioned the pandemic. That has been ongoing for quite some time right now, but disasters, they don't stop during a pandemic. So we have our sanitizer, we have our masks, your facial coverings, and then one thing that the Red Cross we're focusing on is older individuals. They're most vulnerable and more likely to experience casualties during disasters. So think about that. Build your network. Have those conversations now with everyone in the family. But not everyone has family, especially older individuals.
Sure.
So that's where neighbors come into play, friends. Get to know the people in your area and say, hey, if something were to happen, can I give you a call? Can I rely on you, or can I come over?
Sure.
So those are different circumstances for everyone, but you have to talk with your family. These are some scary conversations sometimes, but you want to have a kit ready. So food, water, our first aid kit, and make sure these are in a cool, dry space if you need to grab them.
Okay, wonderful. And I also see a first aid kit here too.
Yes.
You mentioned the hand sanitizer. Is there anything else like, a flashlight or something that people can just add, if they see it in their house and they're like, you know what? I might need this at some point.
Yes, we have different items in our bag. I'll pull them out. We have toilet paper here,
Perfect.
And then we also have some cloths and blankets, and then we have gloves too. So different things you might need. Assess your family's needs. We talk about older individuals. Who's most vulnerable, especially during this pandemic? How would you make arrangements? We have our face coverings, but could we make some arrangements if you could? And older people, they deal with illnesses, or even anyone who's in your home. So think about that too. You want to think about it now before a disaster might happen in the future.
Because it's so hard to, when fear sets in, when the, uncertainty sets in, you just kind of panic, right? I know I do it. I think it's just a basic human reaction to things that are so sudden and they change. And so you're kind of like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I grab? So, we talk about keeping this in a cool place, somewhere that's readily available. So what kind of conversation should parents be having? Even if it's with their kids or with their parents, maybe they live with them, or you mentioned the elderly as well, with their neighbors. How do we go about starting that conversation and saying, hey, let's make a disaster plan?
Sit down with your child or anyone in your family or even friends and make a plan. For children, it can be a little bit scary. So there are some activities you can think of. This is one of our coloring papers, how to make a first aid kit, something that's easy and then something that can introduce them at their level. You don't want to panic or be afraid during a disaster. It happens sometimes, but ease those conversations now. And again, it may be awkward to talk about that because you never want to experience a disaster, but preparation is key. And have those conversations. Again, we've seen floods happen, and have those conversations. And then again, I keep mentioning winter. That's a little bit further away, but it was already cold this morning, so have those conversations.
We were talking about that in the newsroom too. It's like, what's going to happen with snow days with schools? And we were like, we're talking about snow, but it totally will be here before we know it. Yes,
before we know it, and that's why September, National Preparedness Month, get it together now too.
Wonderful. So one last question for you. What's your best advice for keeping these kits? Is that something families should do tonight, while we're talking about it? Or what's your best piece of advice for getting this set, getting it ready, and then it's there when the time is needed?
I would say have it prepared right now. Sit down with your family, talk with your friends, neighbors, get all those things together, assess your situation. Every family or friend group is different, so have that together. And also we have all this information on redcross.org if you need any help to start with that kit in this plan.
Wonderful. Well, Drew, thank you so much for being being here today. I love this kit. I love what we've talked about here. I think it's a great thing for Central Illinoisans to see and kind of start that conversation at home. So for more on this interview, more information on the Red Cross, or even to look up a fact sheet for preparedness kits, head online to ciproud.com. Until then, Central Illinois News Day continues after this.